Soup! Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. But you know what's coming up soon? The Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail expansion is right around the corner, and I'm so excited. I recently got back into the game, caught up with everything. Mary's in the game as well, grinding like crazy. Mike is in the game as well, grinding like crazy. Bunch of my friends are getting in and actually playing for the very first time, and it's exciting. But you know what else is also exciting? Some more RPG horror stories for today. I don't want to make a video talking about Final Fantasy the whole time. I'll probably do it in a different intro. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Problematic player overtaking campaign. I'll start by saying this is going to be a very long one. I just want to rant this so bad and get this off my chest. I'm a new DM and I decided to play D&D 5e with my friends. 4 of them I know back in my uni days, and one of them brought a +1. To give context, in those 4 people, 3 of them were in the same friend circle as I am during uni, while the other one, let's call him Ben, ain't really my friend, it's some creepy history. Needless to say, ever since the pandemic, we haven't really hung out that much, and during that time, they became closer to Ben. Most of the players are new to D&D except for Ben. I have to say maybe he got more experience than me as a player. At first, it was quite alright. We did session 0, I assisted 4 of them in creating their characters and going back and forth with them with a backstory. Ben didn't have to, since he said he already got a character, so he just uploaded. We use Roll20. Even if you got a character, you should still probably talk to the DM about it, make sure it fits the world, fits the universe, maybe things need to be changed and stuff. Just outright saying, nah, don't worry DM, I got a character, and then suddenly bring in something that's straight up from homebrew hell with like 500 AC, 600 health, and just insane magical items at level 1, mind you, is just... ugh, that sounds like a nightmare. After all the preparations, we got to play our first session, and for most of the players, the first campaign. It was all good in the beginning, they were having fun exploring, I was having fun leaving trails for later plans along the way, but as time passed by, session after session, I noticed Ben isn't really talking. When asked, he will say that he is in a public area of their house, so he's quite shy to talk and act, so he opted to chat. The other players didn't mind it at all, and so I continued with it as well. However, it became an issue when we were discussing a matter of home and house rules, wherein I had discussed the help action since Ben brought it up in my posting in our Discord server. In response, I told him I will implement it, but they would have to be creative about it, in which everyone agreed onto. Little did I know, I'll wake up the next day with a Reddit post about my decision to ban it in the campaign. And so I clarified in the server that I'm not banning it, but I just have some rules with it. My rule is that whenever they use the action, they have to describe how exactly are they helping. I also gave an example since it'd be hard to help a wizard when you're a barbarian, and so a little description of visual would be nice, to which they said no. They don't want to do it since they're not too good at role-playing, and that they're not creative enough, proceeding to say that descriptions should only be within at 20. Try to tell him the logic behind my rule as well, needless to say, and he didn't want to take no for an answer. So I let him have it, but I did say that those who make an effort will be rewarded more. Help action is still something I don't fully understand myself, but that sounds like a pretty fair ruling. If you can describe how you're helping somebody, let's say for example, oh no, you have an ally that is down on the ground bleeding out, they're rolling death saves and stuff. Can I use the help action to try to stem the bleeding? I don't have a healer's kit, but I have some common clothes that I could rip up into rags and probably try to stem the bleeding. Sure, roll medicine check? I don't know. That's just something I came up with on the spot. But anyway, that actually sounds like a pretty fine way to rule help action, as long as you can describe the action. Editor Morrow here just chiming in a little bit of my extra 2 cents to the topic. In the post it said that Ben, instead of talking to you about it and finding ways to figure out a good feedback, immediately went to Reddit of all places to complain that apparently their DM banned help action, which is not what you did. But they decided instead of having a regular conversation with you and possibly discussing a more amicable solution that both parties can be happy with, he just wants to go to Reddit to complain about this stuff instead of, talking to the DM and the rest of the party and figure out a good solution. No, let's go to Reddit, complain about it, make up stuff in order to get brownie points. I thought it would stop there, but he just continued. First I thought he'd been helpful setting some resources, maps, and tokens. Then Ben became the rules lawyer, and he constantly posted rules that I did not implement or will I ever implement in my campaign. In game he complained how I didn't test the encounter when it was a random one. He constantly posted stuff, new rules, homebrew, and other resources in our server during off sessions. He even clocks me with things that I implemented because it isn't rules as written. It became apparent to me that he wanted to be the DM himself. If you want some things implemented, just ask the DM politely, hey DM, I saw this really cool homebrew rule about using potions as a bonus action, and they get to do that over some Baldur's Gate. Could we do a DM? Please, 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 and see what the other players say, and everybody makes a group decision and decide whether they want to do it or not. That's how to reasonably do this sort of thing. Not to be like, oh, I'm opposed to this homebrew stuff and everything, but DM doesn't want to implement it. God, DM is so stinky winky. I can't believe they're being such a butthole about it. You know, if you don't have an attitude about stuff, you can actually find a lot of ways to get the DM to see eye to eye with you and implement some of that homebrew stuff or variant rules. Every preparation, every session since then just felt like a job to me. I didn't feel enjoyment. I didn't feel anything. I loathed it. I hated it. I love the campaign, the lore, the world, don't get me wrong, but I freaking hated it because I knew at the end of the day, Ben would complain and do some crap. Until one day, Ben posted yet another solution with a message. So multi-attack wouldn't be a waste, and it was my breaking point. I quit as a DM. I can't do it anymore. Felt like it was a job, like I was getting bossed around when it's my world. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I guess the first question that I have for you is, have you considered just saying no to Ben? Just straight up no, like especially if it's something that doesn't make sense. If it's something that is okay and something that could be considered, maybe you can have a conversation with them. But I'm assuming Ben is just being very abrasive and being very pushy about stuff that it kind of makes you reach a breaking point. If you genuinely dislike having Ben around, not the campaign, not the DMing, you genuinely have a problem with Ben because you don't like the attitude, you don't like the approach on things, I would just follow your heart and basically tell Ben to knock it off. If they continue to do so without having some sort of conversation with you ahead and stop the pushy attitude, then they're out of the game. You, the DM, you get to control this sort of thing. If you decide not to have Ben in the game, and the other player decide to stick with Ben instead of you, then so be it. At the end of the day, your enjoyment should not be sacrificed for the sake of somebody else's enjoyment. It's just not fair to do so. I told him I'm retiring one by one via the DMs, and anyone is open to take over, and I can be the player instead. Ben scoffed at me at first, having the audacity to say that he'd been feeling it, and that he's toning down his crap. Lie, he still freaking posts and it irks me. And as soon as I posted in the server that I was quitting, looky looky who said he'll be the DM, Ben. So I was like, of course, now I want to see how Mr. I Can't Roleplay DM a role-playing game. He immediately implemented homebrew races and classes. Once I asked him what will be the official homebrew material we'll be using, he just sent a screenshot of what homebrew means. I was dumbfounded. I was gagged. I clarified though, told him by official I meant the official in-game since their instances of homebrew might be imbalanced, to which he replied, I don't have a problem with balance. I knew I wouldn't be playing from then on, but what nails it was that Ben posted on Reddit once more, crying about how he loved his character and how he didn't bother to even close the campaign. He even acknowledged how he became a rule lawyer and dares so belittle my mistake as a new DM, saying I'm terrible lol. So now his character's ending is unknown and then proceeds to say how he is excited to be the next GM. And I was done. I'm done, y'all. No one even bothered asking if I was alright. No one. He's crying about his character, that one he couldn't roleplay, the one he roleplays by himself when it's off session. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here spent, frustrated, burnout, and scared to be the DM once more. My entire world in the trash, the entire lore building out the window. I am done. I gotta be honest, OP, you probably should have booted Ben a long time ago, for real. Those just completely unnecessary having Ben around, especially if he's not gonna be willing to communicate and talk and stuff or see eye to eye. And for the other players, they probably didn't even know they were having such a struggle because of Ben. Because suddenly for them, probably out of nowhere was like, hey, the game is going great, I love it, I can't wait for next week. Oh, hold on a second. I got a DM from the DM that said they're quitting. And they're done. It's just my assumptions that you players didn't know what's going on, but probably should have talked it out. I feel like if you talk to the other players and figure out like a good solution or see how the other players saw Ben and felt about Ben, maybe you could have found some sort of solution together as a group, as a party, as a table. But you didn't, unfortunately. I guess it's just a rule for the future. If you have a player that is simply just completely belligerent or is difficult to work around with them, if they're not willing to see eye to eye or communicate, at least come to some sort of an understanding and a compromise, give them an ultimatum, tell them that you're not willing to tolerate their bad behavior, especially if someone has bad behavior. Not everybody's going to, but some people 100% are gonna take the advantage of being a butthole to you just to get what they want. And it's just not worth dealing with it bit, honestly. You probably should have just kicked him out outright. Anyway, let's get to the next RPG horror story for today. This time, it's gonna be, I think, kind of long. I'm trying to improve on like the length of the videos and stuff because I realized some of the new ones can be a little bit short. On a big stories, depending on the length, I try to go for something that looks zany and the title is fun. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. I left my best friend DM, and she became unhinged. My story isn't as big as some of the other stuff on here, but maybe some of you will find it entertaining, so here goes nothing. Also, I like to swear, so I'm sorry for that. Yay, more swearing I'm gonna have to censor because the YouTube overlords don't like when I swear. YouTube overlords, can I please swear for once?
No, make more videos now.
Okay. Me and my group of 3 friends liked the idea of a D&D and wanted to try it out. Normally, I would have loved to be the DM. I know the rules well and have some experience in storytelling, but my then best friend wanted to be the DM instead. She told me she had the idea for a story. So I let her, just because I knew how much of a well-deserved ego boost it would be for her. About the DM, she was a person who loved being a leader and being in control. This was actually really helpful for our friend group, because we were all shy and traumatized introverts back then, and while the DM was also just as mentally ill as we were, she wasn't shy at all. She had zero filter and was ready to fight anyone and say whatever she wanted. I don't remember what classes we were, but I don't think it matters because in the 6th session we had, there was not a single battle. Which is because there weren't any battles doesn't mean the campaign had to be bad. Maybe it was a more roleplay heavy campaign. I don't remember every detail of the campaign, but the few sessions we had have gone something like this. The DM made a homebrew world where there were 3 islands that were famous for different things. One of them, for example, was populated for its alcohol. There were 3 adventurers who got arrested and brought before the king of one of those islands. We were outlaws for having someone with us, one of the players, who was some kind of a homemade race of witch people. These people were attuned to magic and had scared the other races, resulting in them being hunted down and nearly exterminated. That's nice, I thought. I like that. Maybe the campaign is about having to start a revolution and bring harmony to the witches and the other races. I didn't even know how the next situation happened, it just escalated so quickly. I think they thought it was a funny gag, but I was just so disturbed. The players said they wanted to attack the king. A battle, yes, finally! Our battle will be legendary, no. The second non-witch player, who played a female someone, stated that pulling out their willy whacker, they were a futanari apparently, and then there will be now doing the bad with the king. The DM laughed and started to describe how we all started to gang bang the king and how we impregnated him. I didn't give my consent to be involved in this. All 3 of them thought it was the funniest crap ever. Why is the DM allowing this? Why suddenly it just became a, oh, you know what it is? I bet the DM is into that sort of thing. I bet the DM is really into like futa gangbang and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe that's why they're like, yeah, I encourage it. Because, or maybe they'll wing it, I don't know. Clearly somebody was into that sort of thing and they decided, hey, I'ma show my fetish. Haha, see my fetish? Let me pull out my willy whacker. Zoop. What's even more absurd about this? We're all women. And I have a history with SA that gave me intense PTSD. I intend to go to a psych ward and take medication for years and still suffer the wounds of that incident. They knew that very well. So after this funny scene, the players stole all the king's possessions and tried to flee the island we were on by sneaking onto a cruise ship. The soldiers of the king were hunting us, understandably, and we wanted to flee to the before-mentioned alcohol island. In the engine room, we found a soldier who did not know we were public enemy number 1 somehow. He said he was hunting down someone else because the king didn't pay him enough to bother with the ones who stole from him. I asked how much the king paid him, and crap you not, the DM rolled a 1d20, got a 12, and the soldier said, yeah, since the incident he had some money issues, would have gotten only 12 gold. Thus I'm hunting witches on my own accord. It turns out he was on this cruise ship to kill a witch who tried to escape via the mentioned ship, because she was, well, persecuted as a witch. By the way, the only reason he did not attack the play witch was because she was hiding her identity with a mask or something. I think. I don't know, to be honest. He said that we should kill the witch in his place and that he would give us a reward. We of course went to check on the woman, and here it all gets a little fuzzy memory-wise, but it went somehow like this. After finding the woman, we discovered she has a son, and she was trying to escape so that he could live a life without persecution. This motivated the players to hijack one of the boats that were somehow on the ship, and then flee with the boat after they destroyed the ship itself. I think there was somewhere a plan in all this, I'm not sure. I vividly remember how the boat we tried to steal was guarded by another soldier. I think this was our third session and I was really craving a battle. And I crap you not, as I was trying to tell the other players that we should attack the soldiers, the DM stood up and went, I sure hope no one sneaks past me. This boat is very important. It would be a shame if it got stolen. And yet the two players started giggling, stood up in person, and went in real life behind the DM as if they were Khajiits in Skyrim, thus somehow sneaking in game past the soldier. They have to physically sneak behind the DM to succeed their stealth checks, right? Is that what they did? Is that what they actually did? You don't roll stealth and see how what's the number you get to see how well you done? You have to physically, like, Khajiit style sneak around behind the DM to steal the boat? I'm not against a little bit of action play, I suppose. Unless this was like the point where you started kind of regretting playing with this DM and players. I don't know. Now, I know this sounds funny, and it would have been. Enough for the fact that not only did we have no battles during the last session, we haven't made a single skill check during the entire campaign up to that point. It was obvious the DM never picked up the Dungeon Master Guide or researched anything about D&D, but just went along with what she thought D&D was supposed to be. This resulted in us escaping with the boat and the boy, while we let the cruise ship sink, killing the mother and everyone else on the ship. We had no choice but to adopt the child whose mother we ourselves killed, and it hurts to type it. The players named him Penis. Yeah, I mean, it's some people that could be like a hilarious, just absolutely hilarious scenario, and it is, it really is. If you're like not taking the session seriously, you just have a little bit of fun in D&D, just kind of going with whatever, right? It could be absolutely hilarious, but I'm trying to put myself in the perspective of the OP, and yeah, I could see why that could be frustrating when you're trying to crave for something that's a little more proper, a little more serious, something with a little more of a plot and a plan and stuff. Honestly, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, yeah, on one hand, it's like, ha ha ha, we adopted this orphan child. We named him Penis. Penis, guys, ha ha, penis joke, guys, ha ha ha. Funny, hilarious, guys. But on the other hand, if you're looking for something a little more serious, I can definitely see why you'd be turned off from the whole experience. It just doesn't sound that fun to you. You probably should have left early on if this wasn't fun for you. The session ended, and I kindly asked the DM if we would have any fights coming up soon. We're still level 1 and the 4th session was approaching. What? I give you the option to fight the boat guarding soldiers, but you chose to sneak around him. Okay, whatever. She still promised that there will be more action, so here's hope. Plot twist, there was no battle next session either. Instead, do you remember the cruise ship we sunk just a session ago? Yeah, so every child that was on that ship somehow survived, and they, because why the frick not, ended up on our boat. The boat was basically a kindergarten of children, and all had received creative names like vagina, penetration, and so on. They made an entire list of names like that. I'd love to remind all the readers that I was just going along and hoping this absurd story somehow turned into something more action-filled. You know, okay, hold on a second. Before I continue, can I just say how weird it is to give imaginary children, fictional children obviously, but like how weird it is to give fictional children such inappropriate names like penetration or vagina or penis. It's just weird. It's just really, really strange and weird. Like, are you guys 14? Are you a bunch of 14-year-olds playing and stuff like, sexual body parts are funny, guys, you know? Or is it just the humor of the DM and the rest of the players? Like, how old were y'all? Seriously, actually, unironic question. They made an entire list of names like that. I would love to remind all the readers that I was just going along and hoping that this absurd story somehow turned into something more action-filled, because I had no one else to play D&D with. And since the campaign, I sadly never managed to find a group of people, because I would like a German-speaking group and there are few groups that don't play in English. But that's beside the point. Honestly, no D&D is better than bad D&D, and your time is better spent looking for groups out there forever instead of playing the crap game. Anyway, now for my mantra, let's continue. Next 2 sessions, we just fricked around on a small-ass boat with those stupid children. It got boring really quickly, and I wanted to finally arrive at this dumb alcohol island. I wanted to fight, explore, to roleplay with any NPC that wasn't a child. I went to the motor of the boat and tried to make work better so that we would arrive faster and... Okay, roll. Oh, really? What exactly? Just roll? Sleight of hand? Yeah, sure. The first skill check of the campaign. It was a bad roll. I clearly remembered. It was a 3 or something. It was obvious I failed, but I did not expect this. Okay, so the motor is broken because of you, and it's going at half speed now. I was not expecting that. I was furious. But the witch player came over and repaired the motor with her non-specific magic. The witch magic was also homebrew, but I was so tired of being stuck in the ocean on a tiny boat with sexualized children that I begged the DM for any kind of story. I didn't care about rolling dice or battling. I hated the children and their stupid names, and I want to go somewhere and do something besides babysit them. You probably should have went home and not done this, because this doesn't sound fun at all. This was the time to just get up and go home and watch Netflix or something. Watching the paint dry sounds a little bit more riveting than dealing with this, because clearly it sounds like you're not enjoying yourself. She had to take a long break from D&D, but the DM came back and said she had an idea for the campaign. Oh, finally we can get off this dumb boat, I thought. The succession begins with the following narration from the DM. Okay, so it's late at night. Witch player was steering the boat when she suddenly saw Penny Traction in front of her, and he says, "Hey witch player, I want to learn magic." The other two players gasped as if it was the biggest plot twist ever written. I was done. This session we did nothing except still being stuck on a godforsaken boat, teaching children magic. Or rather the witch player teaching, because other races can't use magic. I didn't arrive to the next D&D session, and after a few months the friend group started to ignore me because of different issues. Still hope to find a new group someday. I would love to DM the Lost Minds of Fan Delver. Edit. I already tried to clarify a few things in the comments, but for convenience sake I'm going to say here one more time. Just because I didn't talk a lot about the gangbang stuff doesn't mean I see it as a minor complaint. Like I said in the post, I got some scars from something similar to it that happened to me IRL. I don't want to write about it longer than I need to if it triggers me, and it's obviously a problem. And yes, I should have instantly ran away the second I started to make jokes like that, but I was young and I didn't want to lose my friends due to my lack of humor. Hope that ignoring inappropriate jokes would result in epic campaign. Didn't, and I was naive, and I can recognize that now, but for God's sake guys, I was like 16 or something, cut me some slack. Oh, y'all were 16. The entire group was actually like children, like actual like middle school to high school. It's basically high school, yeah, kind of high school age. A lot of the immature stuff that's going on kind of makes sense now. Oh my god. Also, the boat itself was never the problem. It was the fact that they sexualized the children and their names, and it was mentally very torturing for me to sit through that for multiple sessions and not being able to go away from that in-game. The boat felt like a prison, and the children and sexual jokes made all their expenses like the actual torture. OP, I am sorry that happened. Honestly, you should have left way sooner. As soon as the whole gangbang thing started happening and you felt extremely uncomfortable, you should have spoke up and said, "Hey guys, can we not do the gangbang thing? I am uncomfortable with that." Oh my god, this is the problem. Y'all never had session 0. Y'all didn't have session 0 because they had a brand new DM that had no idea about anything DMing etiquette or anything whatsoever, and they just freaking winged it. Oh my god, okay, yeah, those are a lot of problems. 16-year-olds doing this stuff is kind of a scary thought, to be honest. OP, you learned your lesson. No D&D is better than bad D&D, and I'm very hopeful you're in a better group now, and probably playing with people that are, well, not those specific friends, and playing good games and finally know what good quality gaming is like and not dealing with this. Don't deal with this. Don't tolerate this. If you don't like something going on, say, "Hey, I don't like it," and if it doesn't stop, best just to drop it. Guarantee you. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.